What is going on, guys? My name is Motoh, and today you're going to be watching some GTA GP official kind of racing here today on my channel. Now, really quickly, I just want to let you guys know that this track is available to download on the Social Club if you guys do want to. It's a custom GP race that I created. It was a couple weeks ago when I made it, but I've improved it a little bit. It looks pretty solid in my opinion. I haven't raced it since like for the past week just because I've been on MX First State TV, took my break and all that stuff. So yeah, guys, if you want to download this track in particular, it will be down below in the description. All you have to do is click on the Social Club link and you can just download it and play it whenever you want. Alright, so today we got a story time. Alright, we got story time with Motoh. And today's story is going to be about my 2008 best race that I've ever had with another person obviously involved. It's definitely the best race that I've ever been a part of in my motocross career when I've actually raced. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So obviously it's about 2008. I'm riding my 85 in kind of not super mini just yet. It's like in Indiana there was an outlaw class where you could run. It was basically the younger version of the super mini class, and you still had some really fast guys in there. It was just like the younger guys that weren't ready for super mini. It's 2008. Crap, I don't even remember how old I would have been. Would have been about like maybe 9. I don't know, maybe older. I honestly have no idea how old I was. I really don't. So no, I wasn't 9. I was about 10, 11, something like that. But I just wasn't feeling ready for super mini. So anyway, we're at a really fun track that some of you Indiana guys may know. It's called Trojan. It's a Ridge racing track. Not necessarily the craziest of tracks, but it's a really fun track. I love the track. It's probably one of my favorite tracks I've ever been to besides Lincoln Trails and in Casey, Illinois, and Millville. So we're going out there, and it's, I believe, the first moto I won. Maybe I lost. I don't remember. We're out there for the Outlaw class morning race, and they mixed in the, I believe, 65 senior with us, as well as maybe women's 85 and 65, something like that. Mixed in a couple classes just so that we could fill out the day and fill it out so it wasn't like a couple people on the track. But there was a kid that I had always been like really good friends with. His name's Jacob White, and we used to have really, really good races like all the time. Like it was just a fun time to race him. He's a really quick dude. We were about the same speed. He had a little bit better backing than I did. I think family-wise he had a little more money, so I mean he had a little bit better connections. But at the end of the day, I mean it was a really, really good time to race him. So we were good friends. You know, a great competitors, really good races every time. But today was different, and I'll tell you why. So basically, first race I believe I won. It wasn't a really big or good race. He crashed, I believe. That or he got stuck at the gate. Yeah, he got stuck at the gate. So it wasn't necessarily the best race in the world. Yeah, I got stuck at the gate, and so second moto rolls around, and we're both at the gate just talking shit to each other because, you know, we're little kids and we're just going to talk shit to each other and be still friends, you know, just be joking around and all that stuff. So we're sitting there, and the gate drops, okay? I'm on my KX85, he's on his RM85, and we're both out there ready to do some battle, okay? Gate drops, and I believe I pulled hole shot, but he got around my outside and kind of dropped me a little bit because I was casing some jumps. I was just off rhythm, and it was really, really strange. He was dropping me a little bit, so I decided, you know what, I need to pick up my shit and get her going. Started catching up to him, and then I got up to his back tire and actually pressured him enough to crash in the inside on the second corner. And so he went down, not second corner, second lap. He went down, and I believe I gapped him like maybe 5-6 seconds off of it, just because we were in a really tight section of the track, and he kind of just laid it over, picked it back up, and got back on the bike, kept it going and all that shit. So about a lap goes by where we're spread out a good amount. We were both running really hot, just crazy hot for whatever it was. Like that would have been the race where we could have been in Super Mini and still won. at the speed we were carrying throughout the track that day. Ended up that about lap 3, that's like a 7-lap race. Lap 3, there were a couple incidents on the track, and we ended up lapping literally the entire field by lap 3. So he kind of catches me a little bit, but it's still like I still am comfortable. You know, I'm relaxed. I got my lead. I'm good. He's still there, but I know I'm in the lead. I know I'm gonna have a good race. So anyway, lap 4 goes around, and we catch back up to my sister, who is actually in the women's 85 group, 85 to 65 group, and all that stuff. She's riding my old 65, possibly her new 85. I don't remember exactly what it was. And so we catch up to her, and get around her, but I decided to tuck way inside to pass her. We have this little like kind of signal between both of us where like you get up right behind the person in the racing line. If she's in the racing line, you don't look. We didn't look back back then at all. I don't even look back nowadays whenever I ride and race. But we got this little signal where we get into a corner and just hold the clutch and just whine out the throttle really, really hard. So just pin it 3 times behind them, and then they move out of the way. That was our little signal, like, hey, if I'm behind you and you need to move out of the way, that's what we do. So got behind her, did the signal, and she moved out of the way. And Jake ended up getting actually around the outside of me, so we're having a great battle at this point. He caught up to me just because I got a little bit stuck behind her, and so she ends up pulling off the side. I'm thinking, you know what, good. Now it's going to be a really good race through the end, and hopefully we can keep this battle brewing. So we ended up getting all the way to lap 7, just going back and forth, and then at the beginning of lap 7, like 3 corners into this track, Jake ended up going down, and I think he went down just laid it over again, but it was a little bit like kind of an annoying crash. That or he crashed casing a jump or something. It wasn't a big crash. He was okay, but he ended up going down. So I'm like, great, I have this in the bag, awesome. And what ended up happening was there was also a crash around turn like 9, 10, and it was like a nice pile up to the point where like you literally had one line to go, and you had to take the line perfectly or you'd crash. So I had to take the very inside, pretty much like just hug the tire on the inside. It was just a giant tractor tire on the inside of the corner that kind of barricaded it so that's where you know your boundary is. And so I'm ripping, and my foot peg hooks into the tire. Yes, like I was that close to the tire where I was literally just that, like I had to be that close to the tire to get around it, because there was literally just bikes everywhere in the corner because nobody knew how to get around and everybody was crashing. So my foot peg gets stuck in the tire, literally inside of the tire. Like I stabbed the tire with my foot peg, and it stopped me completely. I laid the bike a little bit, so I had to sit there and push it out of the tire. And in that time, Jake had caught up to me. And this whole time, apparently, the crowd, I couldn't really hear it because they're up on a hill, and we obviously we're riding as hard as we can, so we're not focusing on the crowd. Apparently, the whole time we were making the crowd go nuts because we were just going back and forth, and then Jake crashed. Everybody's like, "Oh my God!" You know, normal reactions like, "No, that was such a good race." I ended up getting that unstuck at about the time Jake catches up to me. So we're even going into a corner. He has the inside, so he's going to have the line to go through, but I have the outside, and I can carry the momentum and hit this giant double that we used to call the tank. Yeah, every track in that series had a tank, as we called it, because it literally, like, they just got a gigantic water tank and built dirt around it to make the jump and the landing. It was crazy big jumps, especially for 85s and 65s, just massive jumps. So I hit the tank. He had to kind of just roll it, in a sense. He kind of jumped it, but he was fine. We ended up going into 3 corners left, and my sister had actually gotten back around me because of that little incident, because you know, I got my tire stuck, or not my tire, my foot peg stuck in the tire, so I literally was just stopped right there, dead in my tracks, couldn't move. She got up around me, and once I get unstuck, we're both hauling because it's the last freaking lap, and we got 5 corners to go. We're both right next to each other, just got to start ripping, see who's going to win. And it's funny because my sister got around me, so I'm like, great, now I'm going to have to give her the signal. And what if she doesn't realize that it's actually me behind her again? And what if she just blocks her line or whatever? So last corner comes around, we're both trading positions back and forth. Like, I mean, literally back and forth. Like, over rhythms, each corner we'd pass each other. It was great. So last corner comes around, he's got the advantage of going outside to kind of rail so you can have the momentum. I got the inside. But my sister was also on the inside, so in the corner before, I tried to give her the signal, and she didn't hear it. On the straightaway, when we're slowing down to go into the corner, I give her the signal again. Still didn't move out of the way. Still didn't move out of the way. So I immediately know that I could possibly be screwed here. There's a possibility that I just lost this race because of the fact that my sister didn't hear my signal, and this is not a good thing for me. So we round the final corner. My sister blocks me just enough to the point where Jake's going to have the advantage even more so now out of that final corner. I clutch boost up out of the corner, like up out. It's a nice little, like, I think it's three different jumps. There's one like kind of a large double in the middle of two tables. So I sneak to the inside of my sister, hit the table, look back, put my hand off the bar. I'm like, what are you doing? Literally, like, I put my hand up. I was like, what are you doing? Got back going. Wasn't too worried. We were dead even. Jake and I were dead even. We hit the double. And, I mean, granted, little kids can't really whip. But both of us kind of chucked the back end out just enough to kind of, like, try to keep it low. Both in opposite directions. Like, it was crazy. That's how cool it was. It was like, for example, if you guys saw the race, I don't remember where it was exactly, but it happened probably all the time. When Stewart was on Cowie, and he was going up against Carmichael, and they both whipped in opposite directions and looked over at each other. Over the double, we kind of did that, but it wasn't necessarily both, like, sick whips. Like, obviously, like, we weren't scrubbing it super hard. We kind of just, you know, moved the back end out a little bit. You know, butt whipped is what I called it, because obviously we're too weak to actually throw the bike around like we wanted to. We're both really skinny dudes at that time, and I don't know about Jake anymore because I don't talk to him. I haven't seen him in a long time. But we go up to that final tabletop, and I get a very, very bad drive. I landed in a really bad rut, and Jake ended up actually beating me by about half a bike length because I got a really bad drive into the rut. Regardless, I ended up losing the race, but it's still probably one of the best races that I've ever had in my entire motocross racing career. That year, I actually went on to get second place in that whole series behind a kid who literally went to every single race and only beat me by about 10 points, if that shows you how good I was in that class. Jake went to about the same amount of races as me, but I ended up beating him most of the time. Obviously, that was one of the races that I ended up losing to him. But, you know, regardless, it was still a fun series to do with him, and that's the story of my best race. Didn't really know what to talk about today video, but, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed that little story time. Anyway, guys, like I said, if you want to download this GTA Online track, I'll leave the link down below in the description of the social club. I'm going to also leave my Twitter, the Squad Gamer Tags, as well as mine down below in the description. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, comment down below what you're excited to see in the future, and if you like the video, hit that like button, and as always, guys, my name is Moto, and I'm out.